Hello children, in this video we are going to talk about various types of circulation, single, mixed and double circulation, and how these different types of circulation systems have evolved. Well, due to evolution, different organisms have different number of chambers in their heart, and accordingly we have different modes of circulation. So let us see how all of these phenomena happen. Single circulation. The most important point to remember, children, is that single circulation will be observed in two-chambered heart, and fish possess two-chambered heart. So what happens here? The blood is oxygenated in the gills and sent throughout the body. Now, this capillary system will give oxygen to the body cells, and body cells will give CO2 back to the bloodstream. Now this blood enters the heart, and the ventricle again pumps this deoxygenated blood to the gills. So single entry point is where? In the atrium. So atrium is receiving deoxygenated blood, giving it to the ventricle is sending it to the gills, and gills will oxygenate it and send throughout the body. So this scheme shows very clearly that blood is only passing through the heart once. There are not two or more channels through which the blood is passing in one cardiac cycle. That's why single circulation. Where do we find it? In fish or Pisces. And what kind of situation do we need for that? Two-chambered heart is that structure where single circulation will be observed. Next, mixed circulation. So, as the name suggests, there is going to be some mixing, and mixing of perhaps oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Yes, that's right. So first thing to remember, where do we observe mixed circulation? We will be observing this kind of circulation in three-chambered heart. Where do we find it? We see three-chambered heart in amphibians and reptiles. So what are those chambers? There are two atria, so there will be two upper chambers but only one ventricle or lower chamber. Now what happens? The left side of the atrium, left atrium, will receive oxygenated blood, right atrium will receive deoxygenated blood from all over the body, but both of them will pump this blood together in the single ventricle, and that is where it gets mixed. So the mixed blood having somewhat reduced amount of oxygen is sent to the body. So you can see whatever blood is being sent through the ventricle is shown a little less red as compared to the blood which had entered the left atrium, because now this is trying to show that the amount of total available oxygen when it is sent to the body is less because of mixing with the deoxygenated blood, and this mixing happens where? In the ventricle. That's why we call this mixed circulation. So mixed circulation is observed in three-chambered heart, which is found in amphibians and reptiles. And then double circulation. So double circulation is observed in birds and mammals, and the scientific name for that group is aves and mammals. So birds and mammals have very high energy requirement because they keep their body temperature at a constant level no matter what the outside temperature is. So for that purpose they need a lot of ATP generation, and for ATP generation a lot of oxygen is required. So due to evolution, these groups of organisms have got four-chambered heart. So first thing to remember, for double circulation, we need four-chambered heart so that oxygenated blood can be separated from deoxygenated blood. There is no mixing of these two types of bloods. Also, there are very dedicated channels through which this blood is going to flow. But first of all, why do we call it double circulation? Is because the blood passes two times from heart in one complete cardiac cycle. And what are those two different channels? We will see now. Well, let us see one channel which is known as pulmonary circulation or pulmonary circuit. And this pulmonary word is telling me that it is related to lungs. So if it is circulation, it is definitely involving heart. but it is also involving lungs. So see, when right ventricle, which has received all the deoxygenated blood from the right auricle, is now sending this blood to the lungs. Lungs are meant for oxygenation. So after exiting the lung, the blood will be oxygenated. And now pulmonary vein is carrying this oxygenated blood and it will pour it into left atrium. Now heart, lungs, heart. This connection of heart to lung and back to heart is pulmonary circuit. But if we look at this, what happens to this oxygenated blood? Left atrium will give it to left ventricle. Left ventricle, it will circulate this oxygenated blood through aorta to all over the body. Body cells will take up the oxygen and will release CO2 into the bloodstream. So now the blood will become deoxygenated. Who is going to collect it? Well, inferior and superior vena cava together will bring this deoxygenated blood into right atrium. Right atrium will give it back to right ventricle, and again right ventricle will send this blood through pulmonary artery to the lungs for further oxygenation. But look at this part of the circulation now. This involves heart, body organs, heart again, heart, body organs, heart again. So this is systemic circulation. The name is telling me that the blood is running in the system and between heart. Circulation is because of heart. So pulmonary circulation including to and from the lungs. Systemic circulation to and from the body organs. And heart will remain the constant factor because it is the only pumping organ. And now, after seeing the scheme of double circulation and what are those two different routes through which the blood travels, let us try to recall this diagram. So you can see this is the left atrium and this is the right ventricle. So left atrium was actually receiving the blood from lungs and right ventricle was actually sending the blood to the lungs. This was our pulmonary circulation. And then if we look at this, so left ventricle is sending oxygenated blood throughout the body and vena cava are receiving the deoxygenated blood back into right atrium. Now this was our systemic circulation circuit. So in one cardiac cycle, the blood is passing through different circuits twice in the heart, and that's why we call it double circulation. But the major advantage of having a four-chambered heart is that we can segregate oxygenated blood from the deoxygenated blood, and there is no mixing. So whatever amount of oxygen gets dissolved in our blood is available to the body cells, and that's why birds and mammals are having this advantage of having a lot of energy available to them so that they can keep their body temperatures at a constant level. So I hope this was clear to all of you. What is single circulation, what is double circulation, what is mixed circulation, and in how many chambered heart do we observe these kind of circulation schemes or mechanisms. If you have any more doubts, please ask me.